Corporate badasses. I am technically still on vacation. My family and I wore matching tees today. Totally excited. But I was able to get away for a few minutes and record this video for you. And before I get going to talk to you all about mentors and why they're actually toxic for your career development, and I'll explain why that in a minute, I want to tell you about something really cool that came up for me last week. So I actually took 2 weeks vacation for the holiday, and I have been enjoying myself and giving myself space. But in the middle of it, I actually came up with a challenge. And it's because so many of the women that I'm coaching inside of Executive Ahead of Time are getting promoted even while they're on vacation, while they're on maternity leave, while they're taking a 6-week sabbatical. And basically, what this looks like is they set themselves up to be seen as the executive ahead of time. They take their well-deserved vacation, and then they come back to some sort of promotion opportunity. It is happening over and over and over again. And I want you all to know that it's possible, not only possible to get promoted while you're on vacation, but it's happening. It's like not just a possibility, it's happening for the corporate badasses that I'm seeing every single day. So I came up with this challenge actually for myself, which is if I could get 10 women promoted by the end of the summer. So I know many of you have already checked out in terms of your promotion opportunities because your boss is out of town or your boss's boss is out of town, or maybe you're like working your butt off, but your kids are home. And, so there's lots of change happening during the summer. And what we tend to do is we sort of say, okay, I'll put my career goals off until the fall. And as you know, if you've been following me, you know that I promote don't wait until your performance review to, advocate for your promotion, right? So that's one of my big things. So I decided to get 10 women promoted by the end of the summer. Right? We don't have to wait till the fall to get promoted. And as soon as I announced this contest, the magic started happening. I had women reaching out to me, 3 women in a row reach out to me and say they were all set up to become vice president by the end of the summer. Done. 7 more to go. So if you want to be on a trajectory to get promoted by the end of the summer or even by the end of 2022, I encourage you to get into Executive Ahead of Time now so that you can start to be seen as that executive leader and start building that trust now so that even when you go on vacation, whether it's the entire month of August or it's for 2 days, you'll be setting yourself up for success once you return. So that's the first thing that I wanted to tell you is how excited I am about this and the possibility of getting more and more women promoted throughout the rest of the summer. So today I wanted to talk to you about mentors, and this comes up all the time, right? It's like, I think Sheryl Sandberg wrote about this in Lean In. If you want to get promoted, you have to have a mentor, and women need mentors and women need sponsors. And in standard women's leadership, it's very standard practice to say, go out and find a really good mentor and that'll help your career. And I think all of that stuff is fine and good, right? Like totally fine. Go do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't get a mentor by any means. And certainly when Lean In came out, women weren't advocating for themselves as much. They weren't going out and finding mentors. So this was excellent advice at the time. But now I'm seeing the toxic aftermath of going out and finding the perfect mentor and how that's actually keeping women stuck exactly where they are and not advancing their careers. And there's 3 reasons why this is happening. And it's so obvious to me, but I wanted to get this on video so that I could share with all of you so that you can see and learn from like basically what's not working. This is no longer working in the world that we are working in today. So the first question that I get asked a lot is, I want to ask this person to become my mentor, right? And I notice that I give, so inside of Executive Ahead of Time, you get weekly coaching from me, and I will give you incredibly detailed coaching. So a lot of the women who join the program, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe the personalization and how Stacy really answers my questions and really sets me up. So that happens as soon as you join Executive ahead of time. But whenever somebody asks a question about how do I ask this person to be my mentor, I'm like, just ask them. It's not a big deal, right? Like this is like my coaching is very teeny tiny, not like my usual coaching, which is like, you could do that, say this, put yourself, get in front of them, all these things, right? Ask for a promotion. I'll tell you how to negotiate a pay raise, all of those great things in large amounts of detail, specifically tailored towards your particular situation. You want to ask me if you need to ask someone to be a mentor? I'm like, just ask them. I really don't care. And that's because I know that getting a mentor is not what's going to get you promoted to the executive suite. In the same way that having an amazing boss is not going to necessarily get you promoted to the executive suite. And the biggest reason for that is because it takes you need backing from multiple members on the executive team to get promoted into those higher levels. So if your boss is the only person who knows you're amazing, if your mentor is the only person who knows that you're amazing, it doesn't matter. They can only do so much. You need other people advocating on your behalf in the same way that you can't be the only person walking around talking about how you deserve a promotion, right? We need all kinds of supporters. And the process that I teach inside of Executive ahead of time, 15-minute ally meetings, is specifically opposite of that, right? Instead of finding one single mentor that's going to have that power and authority over our career, we are going to have 15-minute ally meetings with our peers, with the executive team, with your CEO, with other executives in other organizations, like even at your company, but in other groups, right? We are creating allies all across the company, so that when it's presented, hey, we should promote Sharon, everybody's just like, oh yeah, Sharon's amazing, right? So it's breaking out, not having a mentor, not really thinking about that one person who's going to save our career. It frees you up to so much more possibility, right? And the other thing is that while we're trying to find that one person that's going to save our career, that perfect mentor, right? While we're looking for them, we're not doing the work of executive ahead of time. We're not getting out of the weeds, right? More importantly, right? We're not becoming that executive leader, right? We're just looking for somebody else on the outside. So I completely agree. We need allies in order to have success at higher levels, but I'm saying it's not one person, it's many, many people. And the process that I teach is actually incredibly doable and very effective in a really short amount of time. Way. I mean, like way more effective than I have ever seen a single mentorship be, right? If you think about it, for those of you who have had mentors, you may have cultivated that relationship for 6 months, 9 months. The reason that I know that I can get 10 women promoted by the end of the year is literally because of 15-minute ally meetings. So the first reason why I want you to consider not having a mentor or not putting that as the main focus of your career journey, and if you do see someone that you want to be a mentor, just ask them, let them be your mentor and move on, right? And do the other work, which is actually a little bit harder from an emotional standpoint, from an investment standpoint, right? It's easier to just say, oh, I'm going to look for the perfect mentor than it is to have 15-minute ally meetings with 10 members of your executive team, right? Like that can feel more daunting, but it's way more effective. So first thing is that. The other thing is with the traditional mentor relationship, it's a top down, right? So when we're becoming the executive ahead of time, we're actually starting to see our boss, our CEO, the executive team as peers, like in our brain. We're switching the way we see ourselves. This is why I hate the word high potential leader as well, right? High potential leader basically says, I'm not ready, right? I'm not ready, but I will be someday. Yay. I'm like, no, you are ready today, right? And so we start to do that process of becoming ready today. So I'm not talking about faking it. I'm talking about engaging in conversations with executive leaders so that you are truly ready to step into that higher level position. So with the mentor relationship, it's like somebody teaching you, right? They're teaching you, they're taking you under their wing. You don't need to be taken under your wing. You're a corporate badass. You're amazing at your job, right? But what you do need to know is how executive leaders think and communicate differently than what you're currently doing, right? So that's why I recommend, again, it's like broken record, but this is what I'm like so on a soapbox about this, because I'm going to write my next book is actually going to be all about this 15-minute ally meeting process. And also inside of Executive Ahead of Time, I'm harping on this all the time. How can we get in front of these executive leaders, right? So that we can break out of that teacher-student relationship. We need to be able to break out of that. Again, have your mentor, right? Same way, go get your education, right? Get your MBA if you want to get your MBA. Have a mentor if you want to have a mentor, right? There's nothing wrong with learning from other people, but just know that you still, on top of having your MBA, on top of having an excellent mentor, have to do the work of actually turning yourself into that executive ahead of time. So if you have a mentor already and you have somebody that you're working with, whether it was company sponsored or not, or whatever that might be for you, or it's somebody that you've just been meeting with on a regular basis and you really admire, the goal is to start to transition that into a peer-to-peer relationship. Okay. And you're going to start to do that by, instead of having them give you advice about your career, you're going to flip the script and start to ask them about their journey, right? How would they solve this problem? You're going to start to share with them some of the problems that you're solving, not to ask them how to fix it, but you're saying, what would you think about if you were trying to solve with this? How would you make decisions if you were in this particular situation? Who else should I be meeting with, right? So now you're showing up as this peer-to-peer relationship. And when you start to show up that way, they see you differently and they say, oh, you know who we should think of? We should think of Sharon for this position, right? Like, I actually want her in this executive level role. That's what I'm wanting to do is get you to this position, become that executive now, instead of like, oh, guide me, you know, I'm broken, right? We need to break out of this mindset. And the first way we start to do it is just to acknowledge that a mentor is not going to save you. The mentor is not going to save your career. It's not the end all be all. You don't even need one ever. You do need allies. And start to use my 15-minute ally meeting process. And some of those might become lifelong mentors or friends or peers or consultants or whatever that might be, all of those beautiful things. But it starts with those quick meetings where we're just having that little touch of conversation that similar to bumping into somebody in the hallway or being in the elevator with your CEO. What would you say? What would you want to connect with them? And then we're going to recreate that over and over again rather than looking for the perfect mentor. All right. So if it's not obvious or not, that is my goal, is to eradicate seeking out the perfect mentorship and instead start doing 15-minute ally meetings. If you want to learn more about this process, join us inside of Executive Ahead of Time. I give you the whole shebang once you join. I also have a $7 training on 15-minute ally meetings, and I'll put that into the comments. It's at staceymayer.com/badass strategy. This is, I interviewed one of the corporate badasses inside of Executive Ahead of Time. We've been working together for several years, and she has implemented everything about my 15-minute ally meetings. And I wanted you to hear from her and how she's used that to actually grow her career. And then otherwise, just hop on in and join us in Executive Ahead of Time, because I want you to be one of my 10 promotions. Like I said, we're already 3 in. I'm so excited. I'm still on vacation. I want you to be one of our 3 promotions before the end of the year, end of the summer. We're kicking it up a notch. All right, everyone, take care. Enjoy your week. Bye.